it's good to be able to greet you today. My name is Linda Shelly, and as I work as Director for Latin America with Mennonite Mission Network. And today I have with me Elena and Freddy Satalaya. And Elena first went to Iquitos about 3 years ago with the Journey International program. And she fell in love, both with the ministries in Iquitos and also with Freddy Satalaya. She went back for an internship and they married and are continuing to serve with Mission Network and Iquitos in relationship also with Virginia Mennonite Mission. Elena and Freddy, I understand that Iquitos has been hit hard by COVID-19. How would you describe the impact of COVID in Iquitos and more specifically for the people in the Mennonite church communities?
Yeah, well, COVID certainly hit Iquitos very hard. Before the quarantine started in Peru, there were only 2 cases in the city. But within a few weeks, there were already just thousands of cases. The first wave hit us very hard. A great number of people died. So much so that at this point, there's not quite as big of a concern about the virus here because the majority of the population has already had it. But our church has been affected also in great ways. Normally, the church is very active in the community, working with children, working with youth and families. So obviously all of that had to stop. And we started working more with providing food for different families in the church and in the community who weren't able to work and therefore weren't able to buy a lot of stuff. Sadly, a few weeks ago, a member of our church family died, which was also very sad. So it has hit our church in a very big way.
Yeah, it's well, I think one of the most impact our churches. We in our community we are family independence workers. Independence workers. So they work by day. So they have money by day. So they don't get money for the government or every month. Because when the pandemic started, when the lockdown start. Thank you. It start. The government say they're gonna pay every month to people working, and the company are with the government. They're close to the government, or some big company has more money, so they continue pay even they not go work. So mostly our member of the church, they are motor taxi driver. They work in mechanic. They work in the Belen market, in the traditional market, and most of them has a small store in their home, so they getting very very affected. So all our community was very affected in this situation.
Yeah. So then what were some of the things that the pastors, that you, others from the church have been doing to help as people were affected economically with this situation?
Mm-hmm. When the lockdown started, to the beginning we thought we're gonna be just a week. We're gonna be fine, and not just us, and all the people, because they think, oh, we're not gonna work for a week, it's fine. But when they starting to get in lockdown for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 months, yeah, it was hard. So one day we were talking to David, the main pastor, and what we're gonna do, how we can help the people. So the best things we do is try to look into how we're gonna give food, supplying food, mm-hmm. and we contact friends, people for help, our community, and we start to getting close to them because we want to know their situation, how are they, and what are they doing in this situation. So we give food and for three times.
Yeah. We went to the communities where our church works 2 or 3 times during the months of the quarantine, and we're able to give out packs of rice and beans and milk, sugar, just very basic foods for people to be able to prepare during the months of the quarantine.
Okay. And I understand that ministries with children are a really big part of the work of the churches there in Iquitos. How has this whole situation impacted the children, and what have you been able to do to support the children?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Our church normally, our main ministry is working with children in 4 different communities. So when the pandemic started, one of the biggest impacts was that we had to stop doing our weekly kids ministry and the English and writing classes that we normally do throughout the week. The stats were showing that kids weren't getting very sick with the coronavirus, but they were carrying it to other people. So we had to shut down those activities completely. Even at this point, when the lockdown in Peru is over and things are starting to get back to normal, we've been able to start some activities with youth and with adults. But we can't start very much with children yet because it's incredibly difficult to enforce a 6-foot distance rule between children, or to have them wear a mask or have alcohol washing their hands every day. So that's been a big impact for our church.
Yeah. And what's happened with school, and how have you been working with the children with their ongoing educational needs?
Yeah, so the school year in Peru starts in March and goes through December. So the school year was just about to get started when the quarantine began, and has now officially been canceled for the rest of the year. So children here in our city won't be going back to school until March of 2021. There are options for doing online learning. A lot of schools have been using that. Some people have also been watching classes on TV. But
some of them are.
But since our church works in pretty low-income zones, a lot of people don't have access to internet or don't have a TV. So a lot of children have fallen greatly behind. We've been working, creating some school materials, mostly dealing with math, communication, language arts, and Bible, that we've been taking weekly to the community where Freddy and I minister. And we've been passing those out to the kids. So they've been really enjoying that. Obviously, there's no grade for it, but hopefully it'll help them not to get too behind for the coming year.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it does help a lot to be able to reinforce the learning that they have and to be more prepared than when school does start up again next year. I watched your church service from this morning, and I'm sure people enjoy having videos that they can watch. What do you hear from people in the church about what it's like worshiping from home?
Many people are set that way, how we're going to do that, how they are doing. And we have more family connecting. They come to the church because some families for one way or another way not come just to church for 2 weeks or a month, but they connecting in internet. They getting connecting in Facebook, and they comment and they are so happy. And also this service, through this service, all the family getting close, and also has a communion. They are together, and they always send a messenger to the pastor to stay and pray for this. So we have a Sunday service. We had also the praying service and the youth service. And we have 3 services.
All online.
And all online. And the people or the family choose which service they want to be. But what's a really good idea with Pastor David, Pastor Juan Carlos to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the online services have been a really good way to keep in touch with people from our church. But also people from a variety of different churches in South America have been connecting to the services here. And something that's been a blessing to me is that a lot of churches in the States are also online. So I've gotten to sit in on a few of my home churches services through Zoom, which has been a blessing.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I'd like to hear more about how COVID has impacted you personally.
Yeah, well, probably the biggest impact is that we had been planning to go back to the United States in June. Freddy had an interview for his visa with the United States Embassy here in Peru that was going to be, it was a week after the quarantine started. So as a result of the coronavirus, we actually ended up extending our term here in Iquitos for an extra 10 months, which at the time was a little bit difficult. But since then, we've been seeing ways that this is truly a blessing. It's been beautiful to experience this collective difficult thing with the people that we work with in the different communities and with our church family.
Everything changed. We was talking to Elena many times. I mean, and to know what God's plan. We have this idea, this plan, but everything changed. And in the beginning, we don't want to accept this pandemic, because we have our plan. I mean, I have already that ticket to go to Lima. I already paid the embassy for my interview, but everything is canceled. And so I think what's a blessing also, because during that time we can see many things missing, que nos faltaba llenar un poco el espacio.
Yeah, we saw a lot of things that we still had yet to do.
Yeah, so we are doing, and it's really good. So we are okay about that now.
Yeah, I know you spent a lot of time at home during the lockdown, which I understand in Iquitos was it was a significant lockdown that you couldn't leave much at all. What are some of the things that you enjoyed doing while you were at home?
Yeah, something that we never really did very much before quarantine is doing evening devotionals together. We always, usually in the evening, we always take time, each of us at our own time, to go outside and read our Bible and take some time with God. But through the quarantine, we started doing those things together.
And we started to do fasting also.
Yeah, we started doing prayer times and fasting times. So I think, it has been special to see the ways that it's been able to help us grow closer. We haven't spent all of our time praying and reading and fasting. We've also played a lot of card games and hung out a lot with our dogs. But it's been good to see how our life is when it's just the two of us and when we have to depend so deeply on God. It's true, in Iquitos, it's been very difficult to leave home. Freddy usually left home about once a week to go and get groceries and things like that. I left once, and it was difficult. I got about halfway to downtown where the markets and things are, and there was no more transportation from there. And so I had to walk for about another hour or so to get to the area of town where you can buy things, and then had to walk most of the way back home. So it's been difficult to leave the house. But it's been good.
Even though we live far away from the city. Mm-hmm. So we live 20 minutes from the city. So
yeah, okay. But now just recently that has changed in Iquitos, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the last few weeks, if you come to Iquitos and look at the streets, you would have no idea that we're in a time of global pandemic. The people still do wear masks everywhere. That's still a law, and it's not all that enforced, but people do it anyway. I think we ought to just feel a little safer doing that. But besides that, people gather in each other's homes. There's not a whole lot of social distancing anymore. So things look significantly different now.
And it's because of the herd immunity that it feels possible to do that again in Iquitos, right?
Yeah, exactly. The majority of the population at some point had coronavirus, or if they didn't show symptoms, were at least exposed to it. So there's studies that say that over 70% of the population has already had it, or that not over 90% of the population already has antibodies against the virus. So it feels much safer now to be able to go out, be out of the house.
But Sundays, the whole country is shut down, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Sundays we can't leave at all.
So those video worship services are important on Sundays.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. What gives you hope looking ahead?
What gives you hope looking ahead? Well, something that has given us great hope throughout the quarantine is that in a culture that is very, very prone to partying and just doing a lot of things for fun during the quarantine, a lot of people we did face a very frightening time. A lot of people got sick. A lot of people lost loved ones. And so for us working in ministry, we've seen a lot of people who on the other side of the quarantine, now that we're out of quarantine, have said, I want to start taking my faith seriously. I want to start building a relationship with Jesus and forming a lifestyle that I think will please him. And so that's been an incredibly encouraging thing, coming out of this quarantine and seeing people who have suffered and have experienced great loss, but who have chosen as a result that they want to follow Jesus and want to build a deeper relationship with him. That's something that's been incredibly hopeful for us.
Yeah, and even in the ministry kids or in the youth group, their parents. So now we are very close with the parents of the children in the community, in the island. We are working there. And they come close to us, they talk to us like not before. And they are excited to come to the ministry, to the church. And they always asking us, when they're gonna open. So we are waiting, but we're gonna start with for youth, and we will see. I mean, we will see, and to we can open a disciple in each home, like with each discipleship group with each family. And I think this is really good. We can see the hope they have to know God, to know Jesus, and we are so happy about that.
Yeah, throughout the quarantine, a lot of these communities, like the communities where we work, where there are very few resources, where there are very low-income families, a lot of times the government or the local authorities promise to bring some kind of help, some kind of food or internet access so that kids can do work from home. And a lot of those things haven't come to fruition. A lot of the governments and the authorities haven't come through on some of the things that they've said. So people, I think, as a result, have been incredibly grateful for the ways that different churches have been reaching out and have maintained relationships with the communities where we're working. People are very grateful for that. And I think through this time of quarantine, the churches here in Iquitos have united in a way that we didn't necessarily before. Most Sundays throughout the quarantine, we would do online services for all of the different churches from the city, to pray for the city, to pray for the hospitals that were shutting down because there were too many sick people, and just to pray for healing. And that was something that was so beautiful, just being the body of Christ from all kinds of different congregations and denominations, uniting to pray for healing for the city. That was a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's great. And that really does bring hope in seeing how churches can come together, and also the impact that has on how people in the city view the churches.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. It's been good visiting with you today, and we certainly want to be of encouragement to you in the ongoing ministries there in Iquitos. Is there anything you'd like to say before we close? Any final words?
Any final words? Well, something that we've just realized through the quarantine is the incredible power of prayer. Not being able to be at work with people, just being able to be at home and praying for them has been a powerful thing. So I just encourage anyone watching this video to remember the churches in different parts of the world, and to continue praying for us.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you very much.